Hello my gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful queen bees. It is your girl Amanda, the buzzed artist. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to do something really fun. We're going to be painting some donuts, more specifically apple cider donuts. And guys, if you are anything like me, you love the fall, you love the smells of the fall, and apple cider donuts are right in that alley. In fact, I'm going to be going to an apple cider mill very soon and feasting on some apple cider donuts, so this is just kind of revving me up for that trip. So excited, and I hope you are too. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more as we're painting about a very serious subject, and that is having creative block, not knowing what to paint, or feeling uninspired to paint, or feeling overwhelmed and not knowing what to put down because it just doesn't feel like you're going to do a good job. This is a huge thing that I hear a lot of people encounter, especially beginner artists, and also people that just start out with art too, is how do I keep on creating, get motivated to create? And I'm just going to be honest, from one artist to someone else who's aspiring to be an artist or is reaching this block, it's totally a normal thing to not feel inspired to paint. And this video and the making of it is kind of a big example. You may have noticed that I'm not uploading as many videos on my channel, and there's a reason for that. I'm very busy as a mom with a toddler, but sometimes I just don't know what to put out and I don't know what to paint, and sometimes I just don't feel like painting, and once that happens, my creativity feels stunted. And this past couple of weeks, I kind of really felt the heavy effects of that. So I finally just forced myself one day. I dropped my daughter off at daycare. I sat down, I picked up a few magazine covers that I had that my husband and I collect. It's Cook's Country magazine, and I just leafed through the pages. I gave myself this one task of just pick up something, look at it, whatever immediately catches your eye, paint that thing. And wouldn't you know, I picked up one cover of a magazine and it had these apple cider donuts on it. And it just drew my attention. And what I immediately thought was, let's paint some donuts. You know what? This is going to be a good challenge. And then I pressed forward and decided to paint, even though I kind of wasn't really sure what I was going to do at the time or how I was going to do it. I decided that this was going to be a good challenge. If I have to get a word of advice out to you, if you're stuck, if you're really not sure what subject matter to paint, and you're just looking for something to get out, my suggestion would be to pick up a magazine or go onto Pinterest and look around and see what catches your eye. Now, don't think about how am I going to do this or how I'm going to make it happen. Pick something that immediately draws your eye, and then from there, take it slow and attempt to portray it on canvas and paint it. This may sound extremely intimidating, but you want to go in here thinking, I'm just learning. I'm figuring things out. I'm not going to show this to anybody if I don't want to, but I'm going to make this a goal for myself to see what it is that I can do with this. And that's what painting is all about. It's not about it looking good for somebody else or looking good for you. It's about how you went from point A to point B and what you learned along the way. So in case of these donuts, I decided, you know what? We're going to work with three colors. We're going to work with a Dijon mustard yellow, we're going to work with a chocolate brown, and a marshmallow white, and some candy apple red. That's it. I was giving myself a little bit more restrictions just to start because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. That's when I kind of decided to play and push the bounds as I was getting warmed up. And that's really all you have to do. Pick something that draws your eye, kind of just gives you that little bit of a fire. And then as you're going and painting, it's okay to have messy times. You can see I'm repeating my strokes and my layers over and over and over again with the powder especially. And that's okay. You're figuring it out. But the more you're adding layers and the more you're putting things down and experimenting with different brushes, the more you're figuring out, you know what, this actually looks good with this brush. let me just walk you through this process of me making these donuts, right? I drew out my general shape with my donuts. Then I went in with my chocolate brown and did all my backgrounds. The darkest values, always I start with the darkest values first just so I can get that established. I go over this in my Magic of Acrylics painting class. I'll link that in the description below in case you're interested. But that's just something we as artists want to look at as values. Where are the lightest lights, the darkest darks? Paint those in first, block them out. Then I go in and I add a little bit of that Dijon mustard, a little bit with that candy apple red, and that brown again. A little bit of white in there as well, and that's the color of my donut. Mix and match with the mixture a little bit just to kind of get different variations of that color, the different tones of that color onto the donut. Then I add in the shadows of my donut, and I just add a bit more chocolate brown into that color, and that really causes the values to pop out. And that's actually what was really fun about this. Once I started playing with the values, once I started putting the lightest lights, the darkest darks, the highlights, and the shadows, that's when I started to see everything sort of like coming together, and my existential crisis of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be painting this week? It kind of just went away, and I started feeling more and more inspired. And yeah, I mean, I'm only working with a limited color palette, which is usually what I teach a lot of people to do when they're first starting out, but I started to feel and see things more and more, and especially learning about how to apply a powder looking donut and how to do that. And really all that has to do is just a patting technique with your brush, specifically with a flat brush. You get a really good powder looking technique. And that's kind of how I put together this donut painting. And I wanted to walk you through my thought process and basically what I was going through in my mind as I was making this video and all the struggles that kind of came up with it. Because I know that this is a real thing for many, many people. Defeating the little monster inside of all of us that says, you can't do this, you're not good at this, why bother? And instead listening to the little kid in us. What will make this fun? Oh, I want to paint that. Why don't we try? It won't hurt. And I think that's really important. I think that's a really, really big deal for many, many artists. And I hope this video, at the very least, shows you that it is entirely possible for even painters like myself, who have done this for a few years now, to hit those blocks. And it's very common, and there's ways to get around it with just little bits of finding inspiration all around you. I hope this helped you. I love you all very much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!